You know, it's interesting for people to begin to identify when they are defensive. Often, after taking an initial class on non-defensive communication, people will say, "Wow, I'm even more defensive than I ever knew." Our defenses fall into three categories, I think, just like in war, where we can surrender, we can withdraw, or we can counterattack. And when we surrender, but I think there's a passive and an aggressive way to do it. So when we surrender, if we do it passively, it's like the codependent person. So if you find yourself always justifying what, well, my child is crying or fussing because he's tired, or my partner or my spouse spoke to me harshly because she's had a hard day at work. So if we're constantly justifying other people's mistreatment of us or their behavior when it's rude or inconsiderate, then we're probably in that surrender betray. The other one is surrender sabotage, and there's at least a dozen ways to do that. I might be nice to your face and talk about you behind your back. So I'm acting friendly to you, but I'm sabotaging you. I might make a commitment to do something and not follow through. So there's a lot of different ways that I might go along with an idea and not criticize it until later, but you had no idea that I had any issues with it. So that's the surrender sabotage. And then with withdraw, some people really don't like conflict. They can be dynamic people and very active in their communities, but they want to avoid conflict at all costs. So that's the withdraw escape, where I leave the room or I don't bring up the topic at all. And then there's withdrawn trap, and that's this one. So I'm just sitting there with a very sullen, frozen stare. I can do this in a meeting, and it has a huge impact in the room. I call it the energy sucker. I can do it at home, and if somebody says, "What's the matter?" I go, "I'm fine." And then if they say, "Well, you don't look fine to me," I go, "I was just fine till you started bugging me." So I withdraw, but then I get mad at you if you try to engage me. And then the last one is counterattack. And sometimes I counterattack to justify and explain my own position or to blame you. So if you can kind of begin to get those 6 patterns in mind, sometimes it's easier first to watch other people and see which one you think they're doing. So that would be probably the simplest, thorough way I can talk about the different defensive modes.